Hello, everybody. Hope that everybody is doing great. Total new platform. So blame me for switching platform and doing those kind of things. That's why you already see my superstar guest with me today. So I have Francois and I have Jasper. Thank you, boys, for being here. Thank you for being crazy enough to be with me in this kind of unknown world where we will see what we can do. But I can make a couple of promises. There is really good content over here. So everybody that joins should really stay. I even don't know where the chat is anymore because before I could see and ask you where you from, do you see us, do you hear us? So if somebody in one of the platform that you're seeing us and hearing us can tell me that it worked, so that somebody of my team pings me maybe on or Slack to tell me, yes, John, it's fine, you may start the show, because it will be a show today, I promise. And before everything, the capes are arriving. For Jasper, it's a different story, but for the other peoples, I will say it again, the capes are arriving. So I'm looking at people from Showpad. I know that they were waiting for. Put pressure on Carol to decide which one. Who you know. So everybody go on LinkedIn, find out a guy called Karel, CEO of Luzmo, and tell him to make a choice about which cape he wants us to basically deliver to your place. So it seems that everybody tells me
Jonathan,
that yep.
So are we talking about your cap now, or do we get capes? Because I would
No,
love
it's
the
a cap.
second one
It's
as
a
well.
cap. Sorry, poor English. Désolé, je ne parle. No, so this one, but just so that everybody know, and it's a chip chat and promise. We go in 30 seconds. We move. Jasper made a specific call to me yesterday. He say, I don't want the corporate one. He wants mine. So I will really offer him mine as soon as mine is arriving, just so you know, and make the promise in front of everybody. So in the next webinar, he will be sitting next to me so that I can do the handover of this to his head. Promise? It's a good deal, mate?
Thank you.
Okay, let me just have a look at the Slack, but I think that everybody tells me it's okay. Yes, or at least nobody says it's not. So let's go for screen sharing. Share this. Here we go. So normally you should even see a screen now, guys. That will be helpful to move forward. So what are we talking about? Roadmap. Ta, ta, ta. So for those that were not there, have a look in our webinar on our website, because we presented something a few weeks ago that was pretty amazing. We will touch base on it. I'm not saying more. You should discover, because that lovely visual that you see, you can even do better with what we were presenting 2 weeks ago. Now, what is a roadmap? It's our moment where we will have a little look at what we did, but also at what we are going to deliver, and where Jasper, Francois, and other people from those departments of the organization commit to you. Sorry, guys, I'm putting a little pressure on you, but yes, it's about commitment. Or focus. Are you ready?
Let's go.
Sure?
Go.
Yeah, of course.
Okay.
This is the part that for those who've been there last call, the last quarter, they know this. But we start always with focus, and to start all the way on the top. Luzmo wants to be the fastest way to embed analytics. And with embed analytics, it's not just getting a chart in your own app. It means that needs to be entirely your flavor, your customization. That's to us the most important part of being embedded, that you can turn it into something that is and looks like yours. So that's what we do. And we split it out in 3 teams that we can show on the next slide, Jonathan. Where we always focus our effort on effortless embed ready data. So that's how do you get your data from your data source into a shape that is fit and useful and performant for dashboards and data apps. Next, native feeling visuals that anyone can build. That's about creating those charts, creating the dashboards, but also way more complex things on top of that, creating data applications for your customers. We want to make that part as easy and quick as possible as we can as well. And then once that ends up in your software, in your app, that's not where we think we are done, because we also obviously want it to be useful for your customers, your users. So making sure that your customers engage, that they get the insights and the value they need, and it helps them and helps make your product more valuable to them. That's our third effort, our third focus where we spend our time. So these are the 3 themes that we started the year with, and that come back for our focus and roadmap also in Q2.
Hey guys, I'm talking to the audience over here. Is this like definitely loud and clear for you? This is where you expect us to deliver. I think it's always important in those moments, and that's why I love to do this not in a recorded way, but in a very open public way, because that is where you need to guide us as well, if that fits your needs, your requirements. Is this helping you? I love to ask myself the question, am I helping our audience to have a rise in pay and a better job tomorrow? If you say no, then we have a problem. If you say yes, I know that we're on a good side. I also believe that there is something in what Jasper is presenting here that I would highly recommend you to have a look at. We wrote a book about monetization, and I think the pillars that Jasper just expressed is also a good way. I think it's time for us now. We were talking a lot about return on investment, and that's what you can do easily thanks of course, buying Luzmo. I'm partly Dutch, so at the end of the day, I want you to make money. So after the return on investment, I want you to be able to monetize, because you can deliver better to your client. And that is where, I will be honest, nearly 20 years in the SaaS, we want to be that customer centricity. We want to start from your clients and that you can deliver better on your clients. So happy clients, happy to pay you, you get a rise in pay. Jasper is becoming the next star at Anthropic in 6 years' time. That's where we want to go. So if that doesn't make sense, you should tell us about it. I saw also something quickly about sweatshirts. I will definitely have a chat with you, Matt, about it. No problem. Shall we move on, guys? What we shipped. Normally, and that's always what I love to do, is put Jasper on the grill as the first one. Had prepared some question in my mind, but I think the transition will be better if I do it this way, and that I start challenging basically my best friend Jasper, but I want the chat also to challenge Jasper about it, because I think this is a really hot topic for all of us. So Jasper, floor is yours. It's pitching time, my friend.
Yeah, thank you. I have to pitch this even.
Of course.
But that's great. First thing that we cover here, a big launch for us, is the third version of Luzmo IQ. And in the 2 years that we have this product, we went through different changes in complete architecture, because this market and the technology is moving so fast. We're on the third version now. Luzmo IQ, again, reminder, is our product that helps your customers, your users, to just talk with their data. So they can ask questions about their data without shifting through a lot of charts and filters. They can just ask the question they have on their mind. And this pairs perfectly with dashboards as a companion or even standalone. We improved a lot in this new version. It can answer more complex questions. It answers questions with higher consistency, and the same applies to charts. And I can, of course, show numbers and fancy charts in benchmarks that we have to measure how we improve this quality, but let me just share that and show a bit what I mean.
Ta-da, ta-da. Oh, it's fantastic.
That went really smooth for the new platform. Yeah. So what you're looking at here is the landing page of a demo app that we use a lot. You see Luzmo IQ here on the right. That already shows one of the key points of Luzmo IQ. If you compare it to other things in the market, this is again purely focused on embedded. So this is exactly styled in the way that this app looks, on brand, on shape, exactly how it fits this app. Important point. But let me give an example. Actually, copy paste the question here because it saves me the typing. But you're looking at a data set of sales data. Actually, let me just ask a sample question here that we could already answer, just to give an example. Something that is a good example of what Luzmo IQ became more capable of is doing more complex filters. So if I would ask a question here, like I'll wait till this is answered, where I want to combine several criteria, like I'll ask a question like, what is the total expected amount for deals in this data set for subregion USA or Canada? But then also where the product name is Cloud Nova or Data Quanta, so products that this company is selling. So that means in this case that Luzmo IQ need to figure out what type of columns relate to these questions. And okay, I actually have to apply 2 filters, subregion or USA or Canada, and bracket, product name is Cloud Nova or Data Quanta. So it can combine filters and even nest them and come to a conclusion that you see here. It gives me the number, and it even shows a nice chart where both both axes come back.
Jasper, question, because you're on speed, mate. Today you go very fast. Breathe in, breathe out. We are cool. We have time.
Oh,
People
there's
will not
so much
rush
to
away.
cover,
Promise.
Jonathan.
Yeah, I know, but people don't rush away when
want
you
to
have
show
good
what we have.
quality. I know, but we will show as much. Don't worry. Don't worry. We record even, so if we miss something, we will make it happen. Is it correct to say that what you're doing over here is like I was never very good at Excel, and so most of the time I need to go talk to my buddies at the school. What you're doing here is using multiple data sources where you apply different filters, like you could have cohorts so that you can have a more precise information without needing to understand anything about if else, if that, whatever jargon we had to use in Excel, just by plain language. Is that the first element that you try to demonstrate over here?
Exactly. Yeah. Again, this product is purely focused on embedded, not on people who are necessarily very data savvy. And like if it's a basic chart like you see here on these key metrics, you don't necessarily need to ask AI to generate that chart. There are charts like revenue per quarter that might better fit a dashboard. But especially when you see a peak or something happening in your data and you want to dig deeper into that data, that's when you start as a user to ask more specific questions that need more complex filters underneath. And we don't want users to think about what type of filter should I set? How do I need to drill down? They should be able to ask the question the way they want to, and that we figure out, okay, which data sets does it apply to which columns and what type of filters and slicing and dicing do we apply in the query and the chart.
Could we say that you're basically having like a data scientist in a box? Is it something like that then at the end?
You mentioned that before. And I think that's a very good description. And
Data
then
scientist in a box.
I'll say it for the third time now. But I think apart from that, because we're not the only data scientist in a box type of product, but then again, I think what sets us apart is that it's really built for embedded. So that apart from, hey, we can answer questions with AI, you can also present it to your users, your customers in a way that fits your product, that's styled, that you have some control over how it looks, how it works, and even how it answers. Maybe to show you really quick,
Can I ask you one more?
Very different. Yeah, very different version. This is another sample app. Let me actually refresh that and show this live here, where Luzmo IQ is also integrated. This looks very techy, The Matrix for people who still remember that movie. But this is just to show an extreme case of how you can turn this exactly into whatever flavor you want and what fits your UI and your users. And so this is very, very extreme opinionated UI, but you can see that even if you want something like this, you can turn Luzmo IQ in that shape and work with it. And that's what I mean with embedded. Like it's not just about answering questions with AI. It's also making sure that you can use it in the way in your platform, in your product that fits your UI UX and your customers in the way they're used to work with the data.
People are very cool today. They don't want to challenge you, Jasper, but I want to challenge you and Francois at the same time because he's always laughing when I try to challenge you. So I will challenge both of you at the same time. You're both product managers yourself. How should basically PMs like our clients or in the world of your community should approach that kind of new thing? I think chatbot is something that we all use since years now. And I have a bad sometimes feeling about what you just present. It seems like just a chatbot. First question. And the second, I think there are a lot of things that people should consider based on your answers that they should take into account that I know from being part of a lot of sales conversation. Once you start thinking really about implementing those kind of capabilities, there are a lot of questions that come up. Can you maybe give some guidance left and right to the people about that reflection behind it? Both of you, of course.
Yeah, I can share a bit, and I think Francois also has some useful case to share. But from actual cases that we're seeing with customers, and I guess also experiencing ourselves internally, of course, these types of products are trend and hype, and for good reason, and also already for some time, if I'm being honest. But they don't always just work out of the box. So first of all, it truly needs to fit your product. You don't want something to be bolted on and look and feel out of place. Secondly, and that's something I haven't covered yet, we often say that AI needs context, but it also applies to your users. If you present an empty chat to your customers, it's very hard to understand for customers, okay, what can I
Wow.
ask? What not? What are the limits? How is this useful to me? And that's why,
Wow.
for example, in that demo app, that when you combine it with dashboards, with the UI you already have, it becomes more powerful because I'm looking at the dashboard. That's my starting point. That's the overview. I see something spike or I see data that turns in a direction I didn't expect. That's when I have context where I already have a grasp of the data that is there. And then I jump into chat and start conversing and asking questions. And that's something that I see also now several of our customers struggling with and making changes with. Blank chat, blank canvas on itself is not that useful. So you have to combine it what you already have in embedded analytics and be a bit smart about that.
Do you want to add something to that, Francois?
Yeah, no, just to add, as a product manager, what you want ultimately is to deliver value to your users. And adding a chatbot in your product because it's hype, because it's trendy, that's definitely something you want to do, but it doesn't always deliver value out of the box. What Jasper is saying, it's very important actually, is that if it's part of your app, if it's embedded really well, if it's at least it looks like core to your application, for the end users, there would be also the context, there would be everything. They would be more engaged. So they would be more, I would say, keen to ask questions and to use this feature. Otherwise, what you will get as a product manager is this kind of, chatbot you had 10 years ago with a pop-up asking questions and nobody is using them at all. So what is for us very important is to think also how it can be core to your application to ensure that you deliver value to your end users. So that's just what I want to add because that's something we are seeing quite a lot.
Context is gold to leverage adoption and engagement of your user. I really like that idea that context is so important, definitely in the world that we're living today. Like you said, if you look at the graphic that you question, it helps you stream your question towards this. I might have a question and it might be a very annoying question. So I already apologize to you, Jasper and Francois. Could I imagine that I'm talking with that agent and that I say, as soon as you see a drop from X%, that you could, for example, notify me? Would that be feasible?
Yeah.
I know,
but,
I said a dirty question. Huh? I say dirty question. Huh?
Yeah, it's a dirty question. Yeah. I'd say I cannot show you this in the demo app. I cannot, unfortunately, demo this the way you say it. But yeah, that's again where things combine really well. So you can indeed set notifications through Luzmo, as several customers are already using, and that's something that you like you would combine dashboards with an agent for context. You can combine things like our notifications with actions of the agent. But it's not that the agent by itself will always run in the background.
No, that's what I said. I tell the agent.
People will use things. Yeah.
That's why I said I want to say when the agent should do it. And I will be honest, it's a very selfish question that I was asking. Google is always changing his algorithm at the moment. So sometimes you have a drop in traffic or performance in page. And if you don't go daily looking at that stuff, you might be burning money and not having any results. AKA, that happened to me. Don't tell my boss. And that's why I was asking the question. But yes, it's actually, I think a cool example.
It's a good example also to illustrate that while super powerful, and I think probably most of our customers at some point will move to a solution type like this to offer that to their customers, but that it's not a replacement for dashboards, data apps. Like if that metric is very important to you, Jonathan, you don't want to ask it every day. So indeed you want a notification and have it on the dashboard that if you open your app or wherever that you see that number and don't need to ask for it this time.
Yeah, exactly. Have a look at this. Go there. That's what I'm aiming for. And honestly, I think we should have a call with somebody of Google to sell those things to them because that would be useful for them. They could make more money with me as well. Okay, back to our topic. Otherwise, we will spend too much time and then Jasper is getting even more on stress and speeding even more. Drum bass. We go for Studio, my friend. Tell me more about Studio.
Yeah, this is one that I'm presenting instead of the responsible PM, Yannick, which is unfortunate for him because he did a really great job with the entire team on this.
The guy is on vacation. He's just happy, you know.
Yes, I guess so. You're right. But I'm happy that I can do it now. Probably many of you already noticed we updated the UI of Luzmo Studio, and the biggest change in there is that we also added or greatly improved our AI capability there to generate charts. So we took all the learnings that we already had in Luzmo IQ and put it into a specific chart dashboard generation agent that can help you with building dashboards. Instead of saying a lot more about that, let me again share that.
Hey, guys, I want applause for Jasper because he was so not used to that, and I'm a bit longer than a year in the company now. All those guys run live demos, huh? And we're streaming on YouTube, on LinkedIn. I will make those guys famous. So I need thumbs ups and applause because they really do it to show you that there is no trick in what we do. There is no magic. Real good stuff.
There's and as always, at least one demo has to go wrong to make sure everyone sees that it's live and not a video.
That's just my devilish side, you know. That's where I love to make you suffer.
Exactly. Hey, for this case, Jonathan, since we talked about Luzmo IQ, I'm using a data set that it's a sample data set, but okay, that I as a product manager could have with usage about Luzmo IQ. And of course, you look a lot at usage and adoption numbers. So imagine that that's what I'm doing here. And I want to build a dashboard around it. You see the menu where I can start with picking my conversation and actually start creating my dashboard. But now I can also just prompt it. And what's new that you will see in a minute that I can continue that conversation while it's on the dashboard. So let me start with something straightforward. We're talking about Luzmo IQs and AI chat usage data. Then I want to see something like conversations per day. Really brief, and I don't give more specifics. So I let AI figure out here what chart would fit and other criteria. I could define that, but I can also just let it run the calls and figure out how my data set looks and create a chart. What you see is that the conversation moved to a new panel here, so that in a minute when the chart appears, I can actually continue the conversation there. I could also, since it's actually taking a little bit longer than I would have loved, I can also just continue.
Just know that you're uploading with the platform that we're using. He's uploading at the same time, so I'm probably totally screwing your internet connection because I see mine like failing down and up. So honestly, and it's not fake, it's really that tool is eating a lot of broadband.
It's actually a good one to share, but you help me out there to interrupt Jonathan. That would be a good one to share that I can actually, when it's loading, start my next chart. So let's actually do that. I can do something here like, I can still go to my settings and then go to all the settings and change whatever I want, or I can just continue prompting. So maybe you don't like the lines and I want this as a make it column chart. I'll do something more advanced in a minute. And while this is loading, I'm not going to wait for it. I also think that would be nice to have this as a total metrics, total number of conversations. And while it's loading this chart, it's also updating that chart. So I can just kick off that agent as many times as I want while it starts generating charts and doing my work for me. So let's actually create a nice dashboard out of this. I think what would be great as well if we add something like a filter.
Jasper, if I may, you need to do an upgrade. I need an upgrade on your system. You may expense it to marketing. I want you to use an app like Super Whisper because typing is so old-fashioned, man. You should just be like talking to your machine so that it's writing down for you. That's how we do in the era of vibe coding, my friend.
You're right. You're right. I tried it and I didn't think I was too old for it, but I find it very uncomfortable to continue to talk to my computer. But you're right. That's something that.
Okay, I will do.
Make it even faster.
You know what I will do? I will go on that specific page on our website when I can do feature requests, and I want to say instead of having that box, I want a little microphone so that I can do it.
That would be a great one.
While you're
talking about it, Jonathan, while you're talking about it, I'm just going to jam a bit because like this is type of data as a PM that I'm very comfortable with, so I can just actually build an entire dashboard while we're doing this webinar. Let me do two more things. I'll finish this one to show something more advanced, like add daily number of organizations to this chart, because I'm not just interested in the conversations with my chatbot, but also the number of organizations that were connected, and make it a combination chart. I think that would be nice. And while that is loading, I'm going to show one of the things that personally I really like. It's kind of a hack for me. if you want to create a big table, something that with our drag and drop approach isn't always the nicest experience, if I'm being really honest, if you want to drag 10 columns, you have to drag 10 times to all get them in a table. But with AI, you can just type it. It's something that I use a lot. And just to show it in the extreme, I could do something like, hey, add all the columns of the data set to a regular table.
Francois, you know what Jasper just did? He just killed 20 requests of features of upgrades by saying we will not do that because AI does it already. And so he could like slash down. So you are already winning like roadmap points again. Very well played, my friend.
So here it is. And this is even more than those 10. So dragging this by hand would be quite a bit of work. And I could even continue the conversation and say, hey, maybe remove these columns and have it exactly as I want. You also see
I have
that
a question for you, Jasper.
Conversation chart. Yes.
Can you add multiple charts in one prompt?
Very good question. That's a great.
Joe,
a great
I think
bridge.
we never tested out. So is that the truth? We never tested.
It's a great bridge actually to what we're going to do in Q2. So I'd say in this prompt right now, while I can fire more prompts simultaneously, I cannot do that in one prompt, but we'll get back to that.
Okay, then under second question of it is, first of all, take the flowers, guys, because it's not always that those things happen in public. These AI capabilities look awesome. Say thank you to Thomas for that. Will you expose those outside via MCP?
Yeah, good question as well. We will definitely.
You can stop sharing if you want, Jasper. If you want to just in the conversation, you can stop sharing and you can express it. Yep.
I'll say that we will definitely expose them through API, like the IQ API that we have there. We already expose, of course, the latest version that we're using ourselves. We're also in the process of exposing the specific chart generation agent through API, so also that will be available. We're looking into adding the MCP on top, but it's not something that for which I can share a release date yet. So far, we've seen that most of our customers have been able to do most of what they want through API. But yes, we also still get requests for MCP, so that's something that's probably coming as well.
Okay, so Thomas, you had your answers. I hope those are going in the direction that you want. Hopla. Ooh, ACK. Right. That's the tattoo that Yannick is making in Spain. I don't know if he's in Spain, but you know, you can make those temporary tattoo. I think he has been working that long on that project because it's really something deep with his heart. I'm pretty sure he has ACK somewhere. Can you pick that up maybe, Jasper, in the absence of Orf?
To get him the tattoo, you mean?
No. That you do whatever you want. If you want to steal his tattoo, that's your problem, not mine.
So the analytics components kit. This builds on top of what we see with customers that are mature in their embedded analytics offering. They see that no matter how good your data exposure is inside your app, your customers will always have custom requests and always have different ideas about how dashboards should look or how they want to work with data. So the best step then is to make sure that they have that self-serve capability and that they can work with their data. AI is one solution of that, where you can ask questions, but often you want more control and you still want UI. And the analytics component kit is our answer so that you can build any data app where your customers can work with data, build their own charts, maybe build entire dashboards and save them. But then set up in a way that you can fully control how that UI UX works. So it's not an embedded dashboard editor where you can change the theming a bit to make it look like yours. You can really control the exact UX of how you know that your customers are comfortable to work with data. I'll start sharing my screen then again, Jonathan, to
yes. And I have a side question because I think I can hand rise, but I'm really bad at it, so I will lower it. Is it correct to say, Jasper, that that would allow not to provide the full capabilities of a Luzmo, but to like reduce the scope so that you're sure that you deliver? I'm always saying if you give too much options, sometimes it's more difficult for people to find their way. And it's most of the time, in my opinion, better to go granularly. You know, you give a bit and then a bit more and a bit more. And that's how you go from rookie to expert. Is that also a bit like the motion that we can understand about what you were sharing? Or is it more than that?
If your answer comes from, hey, we have a product that's called the embedded editor or embedded Luzmo Studio,
Exactly.
Which basically, and that's our entire studio for end users. Is this then a way to make things simpler for those users?
Yeah,
Yes,
that was smart.
that's one of the reasons why we started this. But it doesn't mean that it's per se a simpler thing. You can make it as complex as you want. And I think the strongest point is that you can really design the UX you want and then use the components to put that together instead of doing it all the way around. See what Luzmo has and then fit your view to fit what Luzmo has.
So it's about delivering.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think it's about how you want to deliver the experience. It's something that I heard from what you said. How do you want your user to experience your product? But also going to the extreme integration that you can really not see. It's not part of that it's a different part of the product. Really the 100% blend in, if I can say that way, would be my way to express it. Those are the two angles that I need to keep in mind in what you're going to present, correct?
Yeah, exactly. I'll first show this. This is, as you can recognize, this is our editor, fully embedded, and you recognize that we have certain elements here. You can select data sets and dataset columns. What we did with the Analytics Components Kit, we broke out these individual components so that you can exactly style them the way you want, but also use those components individually within your own UI. That's what I'm showing here. So this is a different take, but it can be anything, a different take on how users might want to build charts. So I can do something here like, hey, region, show me all the deals by region. Show that in a bar chart. So apparently not the best example. So show that in a bar chart and then add that bar chart to a dashboard. So you already saw that it was a very different way of building charts than in our editor, built with Modeler Report Builder, where this section where you select columns, the chart, the slots where I can drop columns and the dashboard are all separate components. Everything around that, like this, that's our own UI. So we can use these components to let Luzmo do the heavy lifting of listing the columns, building the charts, figuring out what can be in a measure or a category slot or not. But apart from that, we can build our own UI and our own vision of how an editor should work. And the best way, of course, to show that flexibility is to show a few examples. So let me switch to that. So we have this page, examples.luzmo.com, where you'll find a lot of examples that you can build with our API, with Flex, and with the Analytics Component Kit. And here you see a lot of very different takes of how these components can be used to build something unique. Let me open this example here.
Jasper, if I may, you're really not kind. You did something really not kind just over there. Do a back on your screen now. Show all those examples that you were showing. Give a bit of credit to who make those.
I'll come back to that. Wait for that till the end.
C'est pas cool. That's really not nice of you.
I'll first show what we have, and then I'll share how it came to be.
The reverse engineer tactic, really.
Let me share this one. This is an example I'd like to share because this is a very different take on how people might want to build reports. This is a block type editor. The example is called. So there are blocks here that I can add or edit. So I can add a new block here. Let's say I want to add a new block to this report, and there are non-Luzmo things in here like button, callouts, but there are also Luzmo things in here like key metrics or charts. So here are two key metrics. And then you see that to build this, some Luzmo components are used. So this is obviously a Luzmo metric chart. I can update the data. This modal then is custom again, but the dropdown here is Luzmo. So then we do all the heavy lifting of pulling the right columns that can fit in the measure of the data set. So let's do purchase value and maybe want evolution by month so that I get that percentage. I can apply filters, which uses our components. So this is one example of how you can use Luzmo's components to build an editing experience that's completely different from what you see in the Luzmo platform. Again, all of the heavy lifting is done by us, so those components come with the logic inside. It's way more than UI. But this is
we handle the plumbing.
Your own UX.
That's what we say, huh, Jasper? We
exactly.
handle the plumbing.
Yeah, and then I'll jump back to finish that story with what you love so much, and rightfully so. Let me jump back
I
to
was
the Luzmo
impressed.
examples.
I was impressed. I was really impressed.
It is impressive. So many of these examples here are built by people from Luzmo who are not necessarily technical, but fully generated with AI. And then, of course, built by humans. So build up. It's not just one prompt and then we publish what comes out. But there are several examples here that are built by someone not technical, who knows about ACK, knows what it can do, and just asks questions to put that together. And that works great for prototyping. So if you're curious about, hey, I'm really curious what ACK can do, let me just prototype something quick. There's something else I can recommend. You can go to developer.luzmo.com. There's an LLM resources page here where there's information for your coding agent, whether you use Codex, Cloud Code, anything in Cursor, it doesn't matter. Point your coding agent to this page and it will assume all the knowledge that it needs to quickly work with Luzmo and build these prototypes quickly. And especially for something like the analytics components, it helps just so much if you can just quickly prototype and get your creativity flowing to see a few different ways to build things that you think might fit your customers.
Sorry, Jasper, I don't resist. Francois, how many prototypes have you been building? Because you look a bit tired and I was seeing you doing like this. How many prototypes did you build?
I mean, I built actually on this page. There is one prototype I built, and I can share actually my story here. I used only a Codex to build it, so I didn't write a single line of code. And why it's super powerful for product managers like me is that it gives you the ability to really prototype and to release something without digging into really technical complexities, and really the cursor, whatever, because like Jasper said, with the LLM resources we have on our developer docs, with the SAK work, how it has been done, it's very easy and it's very optimized to work also with LLMs. So whatever you are using to build, you don't have to be a developer, just can be a product manager. You want to build a prototype and let's do it. I did it in a few hours. It was quite straightforward. And again, I wasn't the one building SAK. So I was just using as a customer
as an end user,
how it will work.
That's really cool.
That's pretty impressive work.
Just so you know, guys, we had more than 10 people going from not technical at all to some technical, and everybody was able to ship something. And I think in the world of today, it's about your ability as a company to ship. It's really important. I also believe, and that's just my link, if you provide those kind of capabilities in your product, don't forget to put a euro or a dollar sign behind it, because you should. Don't give that for free or for the same price. That shouldn't be the case, which is a very good transition for a first question for you, my friend Jasper. Does that UI support custom charts?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Francois, I know how much that is deep to your heart and keeping you awake by night so much. Talk me more about nested aggregation and why. By the way, the dog is not happy.
Indeed, I'm just starting now, and the dog is not happy now. Sorry for that. So first, we are an embedded analytics company. So analytics is also core to what we are doing. And that's why I'm very, very happy to talk about nested aggregation formula, because aggregation formula has been released a while ago already. And we got many feature requests to improve it, to support more advanced calculations. That's exactly what we wanted to do with nested aggregation. There is a screenshot of what is a nested aggregation formula. You don't have to explain it very detailed. It's just an aggregation inside another aggregation. So here you have, for instance, a max aggregation into a sum, and you can create a revenue per employee very easily. I can also show you, obviously. But what I want to say also is that we worked a lot on this feature in the first quarter. We are releasing it in beta right now. So what it means beta, it means that it's available for some connectors, especially the push-down native connectors. And we are working already, and I can explain a bit more to expand this beta to general availability in Q2. But first, maybe I can show you.
Haha!
what
François
we're
is
talking
also
about
showing.
here.
Let's go. We love live. You know
Yeah.
me. You know me.
Yeah, and all the demos from Jasper went well, so you know what it means. Huh? It means that
I
mine will
hope that
probably.
there is always one that need to handle the ant.
Of course. So I created a quick dashboard for SaaS revenue. So what I'm using is basically a kind of revenue with a table. So there is a line per a row per deal. So each row is a deal. You have a month and you have the amount of the deal, and you have the number of active employees. So inside this table, it happens very often that it works like that, because here it's a denormalized table, and it's very often how customers or in BI, in analytics, are very often you have denormalized tables. You have some very often this repeats. It's repeating the number of employees for each row. And here you have different deals. Everywhere you have a lot of deals. So overall, it's a 6.6 million revenue. That's very interesting. You have even the split per month. But now what we want to get is the revenue per employee. So how we would do that? I mean, if I was thinking very I would say in a logical way before nested aggregation formula. Per employee, let's go do it. I will do a sum of revenue, let's say, divided by a sum of
employees.
Active employees. That sounds good.
That's what I would have done, to be honest.
Yeah, indeed. And probably me too. So let's try to see what we are getting. And what we are getting is, let's just make maybe something more. So it's a revenue per month. It's revenue per month. So per month here we are in 2K per month. Doesn't look good.
No.
Doesn't look good. No, because 2,000 per month with 30 employees or 31, 32, it sounds not a lot. Just want to check one thing before we move forward. I will just check very quickly what is the sum, because I use the sum of employees. So let's try to see active employees, and let's do per split per month. So what do we have? It sounds, wow. So yes, we have 240. It's not the right number. Each month we have too much. And why we have that? Because basically it's a sum. So it adds all these numbers. Here, for
30,
instance,
30,
January,
30, 30. Okay.
January, we have X, I don't know, 8 or 9 times 30. So 8 times 8, it's quite 240. That's why it doesn't work. And that's why this doesn't work, and it's not the result we want to expect. That makes sense, actually. And now, if we want to change that, let's say we collect revenue per employee, hopefully it will be correct. Otherwise, it will.
You will just blame the demo and the data set. Don't worry, my friend.
Of course.
I'm there to help.
Or even you.
You should blame me, of course.
Yeah, of course. So
it's always the fault of marketing.
Of course. So we still want the sum of revenue, but here what we want to do is that we want not just the sum of all employees, but we want to group the employees per month. Instead of having 8 times the number of employees, we want to have only 1. So to do that, we'll do another aggregation of number of active employees. And this is very useful. If you are using formulas for a while, you already know include and exclude. And now with nested aggregation formula, include and exclude is taking a lot of value. Now I can include and group by months. So here, what it means that I'm getting the sum of the revenue, and I divide that by the sum of the number of employees per month. So group by month. So if everything is going well, I should have, it's where we see if everything is working as expected or not. We have 70K per month, which it's 200K per year, something like that.
So it's a good business, man.
It's good. No? I mean, in the SaaS business.
in the SaaS business, and correct me if I'm wrong in the chat, but if you have a company where you have a 200K per headcount, normally I hope that you're bootstrapped, because if you manage to do that bootstrap, I can swear your employees are very happy. And even if you're a VC, I'm probably think that you can go for your Series B or Series C with that.
Yeah,
No,
but
so
I mean,
very
that's
strong
great.
figures. Strong
We
figures.
have 6 million, more than 6 million per year and 17 per month, so 200K. So that's what I just wanted to illustrate with this quick demo, is to show you how easy is it to now use your data source without handling a lot of data modeling. You can just adapt to your data source and create the formula with advanced calculations directly into Luzmo. So it helps you to not do a lot of work to prep your data, but now you can really work in Luzmo and do everything you want. So that should serve a lot of use cases. Actually, the use case I'm showing here is something we have also identified, and we got feedback about this kind of use cases from other customers.
Very strong, Francois. I know that more than 25% of the clients had a lot of expectation around that. So that shows again that we deliver. So don't forget roadmap, feature requests, capability requests. That is how my gents over here are helping you. So if you don't feed that, it's really tough. Conscious about time, and otherwise the other one will be really on speed. Don't worry, there are not a lot of people leaving, Jasper. So don't worry. It's still good. And people that leave have access to replays, so they can always re-enjoy this element with us. Do I show or not? No, I don't show. Or should I show? No. Everybody talks about KPIs. We just had my friend Francois showing also. What are your KPIs, my friend Jasper? Because you know mine. Now I want to know about yours.
Yeah, we look at a lot of the usual product KPIs. We look at usage, embedded usage. So how many customers how many end users do we really engage? Adoption numbers of features to see if the prediction we had also comes true when the feature's launched. And I think that's the nice bridge to what you were already showing next. And we also look at quality metrics. So if you can, you're not going to share that on screen, Jonathan, or are you?
Because it's you. No, because I know. Here you go.
It's not a product release, so no demo here, but something that we spent a lot of time on, as promised, is also making sure that while we see that Luzmo is scaling, that our customers are growing, is that we can keep up and make sure that when products are launched, that we make sure that we follow up on bug requests, that we make sure that the platform is stable. We did a lot of work there, still have a lot of work to do, and that's not something worth calling out, and not something seen in flashy marketing on LinkedIn with feature release, but something where we spend effort, and we'll still be spending effort to improve.
Amazing. I really like that. I think it's important, and that's also something that I believe it's important, is our transparency. We really don't try to hide behind everything. I still have a question from Adam, and I think it's important. Question related to the previous part, previous then. Can the AI assistant handle translation on data set, charts, and text widgets?
Yes, it does. So in any case, if you're talking about the one that helps you create dashboards, it will create the charts in the language you set the dashboard to. So if your interface is in English, but you're creating a dashboard in Turkish to name a language, Dutch to name a language, it will indeed do that and still reply you in English to explain what it created. But also Luzmo IQ, which is then embedded for your customers. Obviously, you can set that to the language of your interface and make sure that text replies, but also the charts with labels are set in that language and are using the language labels you set on your data set of that same language.
Perfect. Okay, here we go then. Pam. Second part coming in Q2. So guys, don't forget this commitment moment. I repeat, this commitment moment. Go for it.
Yeah, I mean, I can talk about test integration formula again. So in the beta, we are supporting some of the connectors. The one, like I said, SQL pushdown connectors. We are already getting a lot of feedback about them. But now in Q2, what we are going to do is that we are going to support everything. And just to show that all the connectors will be supported, that we are going to lift all the limitations from the beta, and that will be available then to everyone. So right now it's available in beta, but yes, at the end of Q2 we'll release it to everyone.
Connectors, really important for us. Again, if there are missing gaps over there or things that you know that we should consider, again, feel free to let us know. I think it's important. Jasper, I don't know if you're the next one, but if you can maybe continue, there is a most specific question from Adam in the chat. If you can pick it up, because I want to be conscious of time of everybody as well. Okay, cool. Analyze with Luzmo IQ.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. I make your life hard. Really sorry for that.
I was typing to answer the question, and then you jumped to the next bit, but rightfully so. We're going to make sure that Luzmo IQ, that we use that to the fullest also ourselves and integrate it better with our platform. And the first thing that you'll see here is that we will launch an analyze page as a feature of Luzmo, where anyone, also if you don't necessarily have access to Luzmo IQ as the embedded product for your customers, that you can still experience it to explore your own data and probably also to experience how your users are looking at data and what questions they might ask about your data.
I really love it. Dashboard agent. Ooh, you get fancy, guys.
Also mine,
using the word.
This is the follow-up on the question, can I ask a couple of prompts for multiple charts at once? So right now that's not possible. As you saw, every time I was in that chart-specific chat, but we are going to expand that to a dashboard agent, which will also use the chart agent underneath, but this dashboard agent will be able to generate an entire dashboard or do multiple updates at once. And that means generating several charts in one go, but it also means that it can do things with the layout of a dashboard and ordering these charts, etc. So that will be the grand finale, if you can say it like that, of dashboard creation and dashboard editing within Luzmo.
Watch out if you start in French, hein, parce que François et moi, on veut bien continuer en français.
Let's not do that. That was the only phrase I know. So.
And François, if you start Dutch, I can also continue in Dutch if you want.
Of course.
Scaling Luzmo. I think scale is also a very important topic that we need to cover over here, guys, and conscious of scale.
This is the last one to share on the roadmap promises for Q2. But you've seen that we released a couple of big features. Nested aggregations is a massive technical upgrade of our query engine that François was showing. Analytics Components Kit is a new type of product. We released 2 new AI agents on our 3rd version of the underlying infrastructure. And yes, you see that we're going to do new things in Q2 as well, but we also want to make sure that with the big releases out, that we are able to support those, iterate on that. And again, that when we see our customers growing and our platform grow, that we do that in a sustainable way where we also work on the stability of that platform and the quality of the features that we just released. So this is, again, an important part for us in Q2.
Lovely. Q&A. So now you may answer Adam live. Oh, you already did in the chat.
I just said
No, I want it live now. I want it live.
I'll repeat what I typed then. But so yeah, if Adam, if that's the case, and otherwise, then feel free to speak up or send another chat. If you're wondering about, hey, if you can create charts in the right language, then can you also translate the chart into a new language that wasn't on that dashboard before? It's not added as an out-of-the-box capability yet. So if you wonder, hey, if I add a new language to a dashboard, can it just automatically do all the translations? No, that's not included yet.
Okay. Hey, I think it's fair to say sometimes not there yet. And, I think it's also normal. You don't have a 150 plus team. Or pleasure, Adam. Compliments. I will ask one more time if there are questions in the audience. Know that we maintain quite a lot of people with us, more than 65% from what I'm seeing in the little box up there. So, which is not bad because we went above an hour. I think we just broke our own record, to be honest. So Jasper feels very bad about it now, just so you know, because that took an hour instead of 30 to 45 minutes. I will not apologize because I really enjoyed it. I think it's important for us also that we have a moment where we can show all your work, guys, and really impressed again by everything you're shipping. I think regarding the sites, regarding how fast the business go at the moment, really amazing work. So congrats. But I still have one more question. Can the chatbot build out derived column formulas with multiple data sets?
I saw that coming in.
Well job,
take that one
Khaled.
too. Yes, but it depends on what type of the chatbot you're talking about. If you're wondering about Luzmo IQ and the chart agent in Studio, they can work with multiple data sets. Yes, in many cases, because of the charts, they need to be linked data sets. Otherwise, it's hard to combine something in charts. So yes, they can do that. Luzmo IQ can also create formulas on the fly. So if you expect it to come up with a formula to answer a user question, it can do that. You might also have noticed when Francois was showing his demo that formulas in the formula editor can also be generated through prompt. There it's limited to the data set that is being edited with that formula. It depends a bit on where you're looking.
Lovely. Jasper, congrats, man. All the answers within the less than 10 seconds reflection that show you how good you know your product and how good you know your roadmap. Really good. I will be so happy to give you that one because I'm sweating more than you, I think. When I see the question, I'm like, am I able to answer this? Nope. No, kidding. Some of them, not all. I will be honest. Some of them, but not all. Guys, I don't see other questions. Again, thank you for all the people that joined us live. I hope that next to be knowledgeable and that you get a lot of insight, you also enjoy that moment with us. But I think that's also what I'm trying to bring here. I'm not as good at those guys. Sorry, out of a product perspective, they're too excellent. Khaled is really pushing on you, Jasper. So will Formula ever be able to use multiple data sets? Hey, don't worry about last question. I feel good about it, man.
It's a good last question. And because this is an especially hard one, I'll let Francois answer it.
No, I mean, that would be great, but how Formula is built right now, it's not really supported. So I would say no at the moment, but that's something we are thinking about. Potentially it will come at some point, but we can't share an ETA yet. So either yes, probably. When I can't say.
I will give you a tip that I shouldn't be doing live. If you're a product manager, which you probably are, I didn't went on LinkedIn yet at the moment. Francois is aiming to have a lot of conversation with product managers and really people into the product. So all that community that is with us, if that is something that you're aiming for, let us know through, I don't know, marketing@luzmo.com, ping me on LinkedIn, wherever you want. And I will make sure that you can have 30 minutes where you can like infuse all your needs, request need to Francois, so that he will go and infuse that back to Jasper that will handle the roadmap priority. Promise, I will do that. So feel free to ping us if you're aiming to have some more insight conversation with somebody like Francois about your own product or roadmap. Jasper is also willing to do that, but I need the guy to drive the team, so I'm not offering his help directly. So that's why I'm pushing Francois first, just so you know. No bad feeling, Jasper, but first Francois, then Jasper. Otherwise, guys, a huge thank you. You are really exceptional today. I really enjoyed the session. I hope that the people did too. Replays coming, socials coming. Don't forget to feed the roadmap requirements so that those guys know what they need to work for the 10 coming years, because that's what they aim to do for us as well, because we will keep being pushing and delivering more value for you, more capabilities. So let's go for it. And on that note, I will wish you a lovely end of the afternoon to some and maybe early afternoon for other ones. Merci beaucoup, Francois. Dank u, meneer Jasper. And thank you to the audience.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks for hosting, Jonathan.
My pleasure, man. You know that.